Good evening and welcome to Q&A. I'm Tony Jones, and answering your questions tonight, Egyptian activist and commentator Mona Eltahawy. Eltahawy, I beg your pardon. That's a melting moment. Australia's newly appointed Human Rights Commissioner Tim Wilson, Somalian peace and human rights advocate Ilwad Elman, The Observer's ethics columnist Lucy Segal, and the international head of Human Rights Watch Kenneth Roth. Please welcome our panel. Thank you. And as usual, we're being simulcast on ABC News 24 News Radio, and you can join the Twitter conversation or send a question by using the Quanda hashtag that just appeared on your screen. It wasn't only the military who staged the uprising against the Morsi government. It was the same people who staged the original uprising against Mubarak, went back out on the streets to get rid of an elected government, and now this is the consequence.
I'm getting to that. Hundreds of thousands of people in Egypt went out against Mohamed Morsi for a reason, and it wasn't because Sisi told them to go out. It was because they understood that Mohamed Morsi did not deliver. We wanted a president to help us through this transitional stage. Mohamed Morsi proved himself not to be that man. I personally would not have wanted Sisi to be involved in any way whatsoever. There are some Egyptians who would have told you we don't have anyone powerful enough to back the people up against Mohamed Morsi. Just as the military, when Mubarak asked him to go out on the street after the 18 days, at the time, Egypt also needed the military's protection, quote unquote. Even back then, it was a very, very double-edged sword because they were torturing people, arresting people, and violating people's human rights. This is a situation in Egypt. So I think you need to take a much more honest view of Mohamed Morsi. I want military rule in Egypt to end. I want a president in Egypt that follows the people's demands for democracy and freedom of expression. But I don't want a president to be there to put the interests of the Muslim Brotherhood into office or the interests of the military regime. And unfortunately, that's what we're stuck with. But you hear, I hope, even though I am not a fan of the Muslim Brotherhood, that I absolutely denounced any violations against anyone in Egypt, because if our revolution is to stand a chance, I must defend everybody's rights. So you have to ask at the end of the day, who's speaking out? And as Ken mentioned, it's not just the Muslim Brotherhood that fills Sisi's jails. It's people of all political backgrounds. And in Egypt, we need to reach a stage where we defend everybody's rights, but understand that democracy is more than a piece of paper.
We've got a questioner down the front who put up his hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Hánي, Sوريال. I'm an Australian Egyptian activist, and I wonder how in the world that a president will prove himself in 12 months while all the power is not in his hand, and they fighting him from the day that he swear that he will be a president. How you expect that this guy will prove something when we have a background of 30 years just Mubarak? I will not talk about 60 years, no, 30 years of Mubarak. He cannot do miracles, this guy. You're talking about
Morsi, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we should support him. Okay. We should stand with him.
Okay, we've got your point. And Mona, I'd like to hear briefly on you from this, and then I want to hear from the rest of the panel.
Sure. It was incredibly difficult, the job that Mohamed Morsi was given, but I have a question for you. Yes. Why didn't he side with us? Why did Mohamed Morsi side with the military? From the beginning of the revolution, the Muslim Brotherhood positioned itself to side with the military and not with the people. If Mohamed Morsi had, when he was elected, said, I'm going to side with the revolution and side with the people who are trying to truly free Egypt, he would have stood a much better chance. But what Mohamed Morsi did was he continued to enshrine and leave untouched military powers in his constitution. He took the wrong side. He should have sided with us.
Now, Mona, sorry to both of you. I actually want to hear from the rest of the panel. And I haven't heard from you for a while, Lucy.
No, you haven't, have you? I just wanted to make...
That's what I was going to ask you, because you keep talking about, you know, the process being in the streets and we're going to call more people out into the streets. To me, that sounds like, you know, a recipe for a head-on clash. And I want to read you something in this regard. Quote, I call on Morsi to appear on television to address the nation, to announce that he's open to national dialogue. Who said that? Dr. El-Baraday, you said that, and you said it on Wednesday, and the very next day, that's exactly what President Morsi did, went on national television and called for a national dialogue about the Constitution, but you refused to go. You didn't take that outstretched hand. Why not?
Well, Christian, it was not really a serious call for a national dialogue. It was.
But he did what you said, sir. You went out and you said it, and he did it. And nobody turned up.
And we are ready for a national dialogue. And we continue to call for national dialogue, but we continue to call for a national dialogue on a level playing field. Postpone the referendum, rescind all your draconian measures, which he didn't, by the way. Some of it is still remaining. And I'll be talking to him tomorrow, me and my colleagues. Or we are going to have a new dictatorship with a religious flavor. And obviously that's not the way we would like to accept, and we'll never accept.
Okay, well, let me ask you, because these are fighting words. We will never accept. These are fighting words, particularly if votes have been taken. I mean, I assume you believe that President Morsi was elected freely and fairly in a democratic process. Yes or no?
Yeah, we don't contest that.